Before we get into the actual installation, I want to go over the tools that you might need as well as the components. So for a soft start, we decided to go with SoftStart RV. That's the company that makes this particular soft start. So it comes with a set of instructions, the soft start itself, and it comes with the hardware kit that has all the terminals and connectors you're going to need. But then to make those crimps, you're going to need a crimp tool. You might need a pair of pliers. You'll definitely need electrical tape. A drill will be helpful, or a Phillips head screwdriver, either or, and some rubbing alcohol so that we can clean the spot where we're going to actually adhere this to the AC unit itself. But you might be asking, Brad, why in the world do I need a soft start? Well, we needed a soft start because we plan on doing a lot of boondocking and we have a solar setup. Essentially what a soft start does is it helps reduce the initial load that your electrical system experiences. So when you turn on a compressor like your AC unit, it's going to draw a really high amount of amps to kickstart that compressor, and then it'll level out during continuous operation. So the soft start will help reduce that initial spike, and it'll basically be easier on your electrical system, especially your inverter, and it helps reduce the wear and tear. So why does that really matter? Well, we have a 3000 watt inverter, which is really, I think, 2400 watts continuous. So if we have other things turned on all at once and then the compressor kicks on for the AC unit, it's going to draw a really high spike in current, and it might be past what the rating is for our inverter. So this will help basically reduce that wear and tear that the inverter is going to experience. And if you have dual inverters, or maybe an inverter and a generator, but you're kind of near your capacity and you're running, an AC and some other high amp draw loads, or even 2 or 3 ACs, soft starts will be beneficial because it allows you to turn them all on even when you're running close to that capacity. Otherwise, if you are running near capacity and you try to kick one of these on, it might put you way over and you might not have enough current to actually turn it over. So as always, before you start any electrical projects, you want to make sure that your electrical breakers are off so that no power is going to anything that you're going to be working with. So we're here at our breaker panel, and I'm looking for both ACs because those are the 2 things I'm going to be working on. So I have those breakers switched to off. All right, let's get on the roof now. Hey, if you guys find this content helpful, please like and subscribe to help support our channel so that we can continue to deliver content for all of you. And it also lets us know that we're on the right track. So thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate it. All right, so we have the Coleman Mach 4800 series. So for us to get this AC cover off, we have 4 screws, 2 here in the front, and then we have 2 down in the back. So we're gonna go ahead and remove those and get the cover off. So again, for ours, when we go to take this cover off, you actually want to grab underneath here in the front and lift up a little bit, and that'll release the front. And then you want to grab in the back and lift them up at the same time, and it should slide right off. All right, now that we got that off, the next step is pulling this panel off, because this is where all the wires are, but also on the back of this panel, and I'll show you in a sec, there's a model number, and we need to grab that to know which set of instructions to use from SoftStarts website. In order to get this panel off, you only have to take these 2 screws off. You might need to loosen this one just a little bit. Once you get the panel off, you're gonna look for this caution shock hazard sticker or label, and at the bottom left you're going to see a number that says 1976, and then it's going to be followed by a hyphen and a code. That code, the last set of digits, is what you're going to need, because then you're going to go to SoftStart RV's website and they have a whole list of AC units, and you're going to look for yours based on this number. Once you find this number there, you're going to go ahead and click the link, and we'll show you guys a whole screen recording of it all. That's what's going to bring you to your set of instructions, and it's really simple. It's only 6 steps. So now that we got that panel off and we looked up our set of instructions, I got them here on my phone with me on the roof, or they have a printable version if you prefer that. So we're gonna go ahead, unwrap this, And we're gonna remove this bit of putty here or sealant, and you wanna keep it because we're gonna put it back on after. So we're just gonna separate that a little bit. Just enough that we're gonna be able to feed all of these wires through. All right, perfect. So we got all of our wires through, and now we're gonna go look at step one. All right, so I got my instructions here on the phone. I'm just gonna read them step by step to you guys. So step one, it says follow the white compressor wire from the compressor. So this black cylinder here is the compressor. We're gonna identify the white wire. We're gonna follow it through. And there are 2 white wires. So we're gonna wanna make sure that we are grabbing the right one. So it's this one. It says follow it from the compressor to the run capacitor C terminal. So this cylinder in here is the run capacitor, and the C terminal is just a terminal that's already crimped on to the end of this wire. And it says disconnect the terminal and connect it to the blue SoftStart wire. And then we're gonna tape the connection with electrical tape. So if your hands are small enough and you can get in there, you probably don't need pliers. My hands aren't all that big, but pliers are definitely easier. So I'm gonna reach in here and I'm gonna grab the terminal itself. I'm not gonna pull from the wire. And I'm gonna disconnect that. So now that we got this white wire, it's got this C terminal, and we need this flat, basically spade terminal that mates with it. And we need to connect this to the end of the blue wire. So I've already removed the bit of insulation. I'm going to put this into here. And you wanna make sure that the bare conductor comes all the way out, but it stops before it goes onto this pad, because we don't want it in the way when we install it, but we wanna make sure we don't have exposed conductor in the back. So we're gonna align it up about so. We're gonna take our crimping tool, and since this has yellow insulation on the terminal, we're gonna use the yellow section on the crimping tool. Make sure the conductor's still aligned. We'll go ahead and crimp down. Give it a little tug test. It's on there nice and solid. So now, we're gonna connect the white wire and the blue wire. Just like that. And then the instructions say to use electrical tape. So we'll go ahead and tape this connection. And that's step one. All right, step two. It says connect the black SoftStart wire to the terminal that the wire compressor wire was on. So we're gonna find the black wire that we fed through from the SoftStart, and we're going to crimp on a C connector, and we're going to put it back onto the terminal that we unplugged the white wire from. All right, so we're gonna start by getting one of these C connectors, and we're gonna remove this little bit of insulation on the end of the black wire, give it a couple twists, keep the strands together, and just like the other wire, we wanna make sure it's inserted so there's no bare conductor on this end, but make sure that the conductor of the black wire isn't in the area where the other mating connector will be. And we'll go ahead and give that a crimp. Now that that's on there, we're going to connect this to the terminal that we took off the white wire from originally. All right, so we need to connect this black wire to this terminal down here. Line that up. So step 3 says to connect the yellow SoftStart wire onto the terminal next to the red compressor wire on the HERM terminal of the run capacitor. So all of that gibberish basically means we're gonna take another one of these C terminals and we're gonna crimp it on, just like we did with the other ones. Line it up, make sure that the spacing is correct. Go ahead and give it a crimp. And now we'll get a close-up of where you got to connect this. So this is the run capacitor. This is the red wire that it's talking about. So you can see that there's 3 other open terminals. Again, this is on our AC unit. It might be a little different for yours, but we're going to take this connector that we just crimped onto this yellow wire and put it onto any one of those 3 terminals. So we've got it on in there. That's the end of step 3. So step 4 says, if, it's all capitals, if there is a black capacitor with a second red wire. So right there, we can immediately look here and say, nope, we only have 1 red wire, so we don't have to worry about this step. We can just move on to the next one. So we're gonna jump to step 5. And it says, follow the black compressor wire to the outdoor temperature relay board. So we're gonna follow this black wire here. And again, we wanna make sure that we're grabbing the right black wire. Okay, I've got it right here. And it goes to this outdoor temperature relay board, and we'll get a close-up because we're gonna need to disconnect that and then connect another one of the wires to that board. So this is the black wire that we need, and it's connected into this board. So I'm gonna use my pliers and make sure to grab the connector and gently pull out to disconnect it. So now that we've disconnected this black wire from the outdoor temperature relay board, we're gonna take the brown wire from the SoftStart, and we need to connect these 2 together. So since this already has a C terminal on it, we need to grab the mating connector, which is just this flat one that comes in the hardware bag. Let's grab another one. And we're gonna crimp that on. Give it a little tug test. It's good. So we're gonna plug them together. And then it says to use electrical tape again to go ahead and seal up that connection. And then it says, step 6 is next. So we're gonna take the red SoftStart wire, connect the red SoftStart wire onto the terminal that the black compressor wire was on. So we're gonna go ahead and crimp on a C terminal to this one, and then we're gonna go and plug it into the terminal that we just disconnected this black wire from. So we'll pull this off. And again, this one's gonna need the C terminal, this one here. So we'll go ahead and crimp that on. Just like that. And then we'll get a close-up of plugging this in. So we're in here. I've got my pliers grabbing this terminal that we just crimped on. We need to put it onto the terminal that we just disconnected the black wire from. All right, so I just felt it clip in all the way. So you want to make sure that it is fully connected on there. And if it is, that step's over and we can move on to the next. So that was step 6. All of our wire connections have been created. So now I'm going to read the remainder of the instructions here. So it says, secure all the wires, tape the connections with electrical tape. We already did that. Before I use the zip ties that were included to basically clean up and manage all of my wires here, I want to jump to the next step and you'll see why in a moment. So it says, turn the power in the AC breaker back on and turn the AC to auto cool and set the thermostat to 55 degrees. And then once you do that, there's gonna be 3 LEDs here, and we're gonna watch for this green LED to turn on to basically signify that the compressor is running. So it says, look at the SoftStart LED lights and the green light should be on. Green light means the compressor is running. There may be a full 3-minute delay before the green light comes on. If there's no green light, then they suggest that you reach out to their tech support for assistance. We already had to do this on another AC and it kicked on within 5 seconds. So I'm gonna leave the camera up here recording and I'm gonna run down. I'm gonna turn my breaker back on. And again, I'm gonna set it to cool auto. And we're gonna watch for all of these LEDs to light up, and eventually you want the green one to just stay on and solid. So we'll reposition the camera here and I'll go and turn all that on and you'll let me know if it turns green. All right, and as you can see, the LED has turned green, so I can turn off the AC unit and go back onto the roof to complete the installation. All right, so now that we just saw the green LED turned on, I did go ahead, shut off the AC and turned off the breaker again, just because we've got all of this open and, you know, we want to be safe, want to be cautious. So now we need to mount this. On the back of the SoftStart, there's this double-sided adhesive. It's already connected to the SoftStart. So we're gonna find a suitable mounting location. And for me on my unit, I have all this area right here. So I'm gonna slide this down through here. And I plan on mounting it just like that. So what I'm gonna do is set this aside for just a moment. And I'm gonna take some rubbing alcohol and clean up this surface so we have good adhesion. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off this spot here. And then I'm gonna peel off this red cover here. And then we're gonna go ahead and press this firmly in place. And there are 4 screw holes on these as well if you do have short screws and you wanna screw them through. Another good reason to mount it here, again, this is the Coleman Mach, is on the back side of this panel, we already have access to this. So if we wanted to put screws through to mount this on, we can see if there's anything in the way, and there's not. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you do want to use screws instead of just the adhesive, try to put it in a place where you can see where those screws are gonna go. So we'll press that on nice and firm. And now to clean up these wires here, we don't want all of this dangling on the outside, so we're gonna push these through. Now to clean all this up, they do provide us with a few zip ties. So we'll go ahead and put all these together. You can use a zip tie if you wish. Just trim off that end. We're going to tuck all of those back in there. Then we're going to grab our panel. And we're going to slide this top edge back up underneath here. And then line up the screw holes. Okay, and now we're going to bring the camera around this way. So now we're on the back side where we put the wires through. Just want to show you, we're going to clean these up a little bit. We're going to use one of these zip ties that they provided and just zip tie all the wires together. You can get rid of this excess. And then all of this sealant putty that we had just moved out of the way, we're going to basically reseal all the way around. I believe you could just use something like a butyl tape or something similar if yours is really old, dry, and cracked. This is pretty new, so it's very moldable. So that's all put back together. Our wires are nice and secure. They're out of the way of any moving parts, which is really just this fan. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the cover all back on. All right, so I got my cover. I like to line up the back first and then the front and try to go down together. And then the front, there's gonna be that lip. I'm gonna pull it forward. I don't know if you guys heard or saw that. Just click down into place up here in the front. So that's good. My screw holes are lined up. So I'm gonna take these big screws with the washers and tighten these back down. And then we've got these 2 little guys that we're gonna do in the back lower corners again. So now that we got both SoftStarts installed, we're gonna go back to our breaker panel. We're gonna flip them both on. And then the instructions said to run whichever one that you installed it on. For us, it's both, for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna set this to cool auto high, and it said to choose a temperature that's very similar to the ambient temperature or the outside temperature. So today it is about 75 degrees out, so we'll leave it right here at 75, and again we'll run them for about 30 minutes, and that should essentially wrap everything up. For doing this for the first time, it'll probably take you anywhere from, I'd probably say 40 minutes to an hour. But if you have to do multiple of these, like this is the second one that we did, and if we weren't filming, I probably could have had this done in all of 20-25 minutes. As you can see, it's a very simple process. For me, it just took a minute to figure out, you know, which wires are they talking about and where are they going, because the diagrams that you see online don't really match up with what you see in person. So that's why we're hoping this video will help you out, because you'll be able to see what does it actually look like in person instead of just a square on a diagram. We hope you got something out of it, and if there's anything else that you guys want to see for this installation, let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to help answer any questions.